is a mini candle, and this is a cube of scented wax. If you put the wax on top of this castle and the candle inside, you get yourself a wax burner. But the question becomes, how did I make this castle that melts wax? So I started with 1.5 pounds of clay like this. I centered, opened, and pulled up the walls one time. But I needed to make a base for the castle. So instead of starting at the bottom of the clay, I pulled up from about 1/2 inch from the bottom until I reached my desired height. But this doesn't look like a castle just yet. So I moved my hands up to the top part of the clay and pressed out just the top part. Once the clay is dry, I trimmed the castle and added some evenly placed lines using my needle tool. But in order to make the wax melt, I needed to cut off a part of the castle. So I took my needle tool once again and cut off the top part and set it aside for later. I grabbed another ball of clay and made a wide bowl, which will be used later. While that dries, I wrote out a small amount of clay and placed the top part of the castle to trace out a circle and attach the castle to. But there are small gaps in the clay that can ruin the castle, so I placed some little clay sausages in the inside. Before I can reattach the top part, I need to cut out a part of the walls. So I grabbed my Exacto knife to cut out a door shape. I saved the door for later and reattached the castle together. The castle is looking better, but it's still missing the most important part of the castle, the bricks. So I carved some lines into the clay, starting at the bottom and working my way up. But each layer can't match up with the bottom layer. So I made sure to add each line in between the previous one. If you are enjoying this challenge and looking for more pottery challenge each month, come join the Clay Games community by clicking the link in the comments. With the bricks done, I cut out the top to give it that nice castle look. But something was still off, so I added tiny balls of clay around the opening, and that seemed to help a lot. But I still needed to add the rest of the scenery, so with the rim of the bowl stiffened up, I cut it off the wheel, flipped it over, and placed the castle on top. But when I went to press the castle into the bowl, it wasn't budging, and I didn't want to risk ruining the castle, so I pressed it down with my hand, creating a nice flat part for the castle to sit on. The bowl and castle were very heavy, so I grabbed a knife and cut out a lot of the bowl, making it lighter and giving it more natural look. The castle and scenery needed some texture, so I grabbed some aluminum foil, pressed it all around the clay. The castle still needed one thing, the drawbridge, so I took the door I cut out earlier and placed it facing down, and added some wood texture to it. Once the clay was close to bone dry, I started painting the castle gray. But I wanted the castle to look like it was part of a mountain, so I added some brown and green around the castle to give it a nice mountain look. The castle was a little too gray for my taste, so I added some green onto the castle to make it look like moss. This didn't help much in the end. I added a tan color to the door and let it dry to be put into a bisque fire later. But after the bisque fire, the castle was still too gray for my taste. So I added a black wash all around the castle and the mountain, and added some clear glaze to the top, and finally put it into a final firing. With the final shots complete, that's how you make a castle.